Greetings all! Today, we will be examining the uncommon poison-type Pokemon Gulpin, the Stomach Pokémon, and its relatively rare evolution Swalot, the Poison Bag Pokémon. The members of the Gulpin family are amorphous creatures whose abnormal forms and appearances are only mildly disturbing in comparison to the disgusting and dangerous feats they are capable of if allowed to get their mouths anywhere near an opponent. Gulpin have green, blob-like bodies made out of a slightly gooey, rubbery flesh patterned with a large black diamond-shaped marking on their backside. They have a pair of tiny hands with only a single pair of bulbous digits on each hand, and they completely lack feet, slowly moving around by secreting a thin slime on their undersides that allows them to slide their bodies across surfaces like a slug. They have thick, almost pouty lips that hide their cavernous mouth, which is completely elastic with no hard structures and can be stretched to become as large as their entire body. Their eyes are incredibly small, so much so that they are almost invisible and appear as slits, and the top of their body is adorned with a strange yellow sprig of flesh that serves to differentiate sexes, as it is typically longer in males than in females. Swalot also possess a fairly amorphous body form, but in their case, their bodies are much larger and purple in color, and the diamond pattern seen in Gulpin is repeated around the circumference of their lower body. Their hands are still quite stumpy, but now have 3 bulbous digits per hand, and while the lower bodies now have a more distorted, wiggly look to them, they function the same in secreting a thin slime that allows them to move around by sliding. Their eyes are now visible as tiny, red, featureless structures with very limited light processing abilities, effectively preventing them from seeing very clearly, but they now also have a set of yellow whiskers that not only serve as sensory appendages to help them read the surroundings by analyzing disturbances in nearby air currents, but also serve to differentiate sexes, with the whiskers being longer in males than in females. Their lips are still thick and pouty and manage to do a good job of hiding their even more cavernous red mouth from those that might otherwise be terrified by the sight of it. The members of the Gulpin family are among the few types of Pokemon whose biological form does not match that of anything remotely well understood for creatures of their size, and thus stick out as oddities even among poison-type Pokemon. These creatures are almost completely comprised of their stomach tissue, with their heart and brain being incredibly small and all of their other organ systems even smaller, to the point where they are pretty much non-existent. As a whole, these creatures barely have the physical tissue needed to operate their bodies as they do, and they lack most of the vital systems that are typically observed among life forms on the planet at their level of complexity. These creatures completely and utterly lack any tissue that would enable them to store energy in their bodies for later use, the majority of their non-stomach body tissue being present in the form of a uniform, gel-like flesh that is quite rubbery and helps to give them some physical standing in the face of little to no muscle tissue. Without a way to store energy in their bodies for long periods of time, these creatures are constantly on the hunt for food, and while their terrible eyesight might make them seem like poor hunters, in reality, these creatures don't have to be that picky about what they eat, as they possess the strongest digestive acids in the world. While Gulpin are pretty potent on their own, Swalot in particular possess such strong stomach acids that the only thing they can't digest is their own stomach tissue, as it secretes an equally powerful base that neutralizes it and renders their bodies safe from harm. This powerful acid is also what allows these creatures to use most of their primary projectile attacks, as they can mix partially digested food with the acid to create a number of sludge and acid-based attacks to douse opponents with, in turn making them fairly vile poison types to be around. The gelatinous nature of their body tissue allows these creatures to possess liquid ooze and sticky hold as base abilities, while their ravenous hunger can sometimes be so out of control that it can grant them access to gluttony as a hidden ability. As far as their stats go, in the case of Swalot, while they might not be very fast or have incredibly strong offenses, they have decent defenses, as the gelatinous flesh that comprises their body is thick enough to offer a powerful sink for both kinetic and elemental energies alike, and further grants them surprisingly great stamina, in turn making their base HP and defense stats above average for a fully evolved poison-type Pokemon, even though everything else is below average. These odd beasts might not look very imposing, but they can more than prove to be a serious hazard if not eliminated quickly to avoid their toxic attacks and disgusting body forms. Gulpin on their own do not have many defining traits outside of their stomach and bizarre physical form, but it is noted that there is one other issue that comes with them that can make them a potential hazard to anyone that is remotely close to them: their digestive system. Namely, the fact that they don't actually have much of one. Because of the sheer size of their stomach and their ability to open their mouths to swallow anything that is as large as they are, there is very, very little room left for any sort of other digestive organs. As such, these beasts have developed without intestines or much of an esophagus, their stomach acting as the primary entry gate and departure area for waste material. While this certainly might seem incredibly gross and disgusting, the good news is that because of the strength of their stomach acids, anything that is in there, even hard material like scrap iron, can be completely melted and reduced to a gel that the interior of their stomach absorbs so the rest of their body can process the minerals and nutrients in general that are contained in their food. Unfortunately, materials that are reduced to a gaseous state during digestion have nowhere to go, and are in turn let out of their mouths after their stomach processes their food in the form of a toxic belch of gas that is so strong that it grants them and Swalot one of the strongest poison gas techniques out of all poison-type Pokemon, only outdone by the members of the Coughing family. This can make them dangerous to get near even if you're just training them, and should thus be approached with caution if you're unaware of when they last ate or if they have just eaten recently. When Gulpin evolve into Swalot, their height and mass increase by an extraordinary degree, making them as tall and heavy as some humans, and this added mass and larger frame enables them to more effectively use their body to deliver attacks in close quarters, granting them access to the body slam attack immediately after evolving. While these creatures still lack teeth like Gulpin, and in turn must swallow their food whole, their massive frame allows them to swallow something as large as a truck tire without any problem. It is said that even the sight of their cavernous insides from a single yawn from them can be traumatizing, giving a full view of their entire interior. While these beasts can just try to sneak up on other life forms and attack them from behind, Swalot have developed a more useful manner in which to attack and incapacitate potential prey items before going in for the kill. These creatures have follicles across the entirety of their outer body form, but instead of secreting sweat, these pores ooze out a horrendously toxic liquid that not only grants these creatures access to the Venom Drench technique, but can poison and begin to break down prey items within seconds when thrown onto them, to the point of even melting flesh and muscle tissue in some cases, softening up and potentially handicapping their prey and leaving it vulnerable to being attacked and swallowed whole in a single strike. Despite the horrific implications of this sort of death, for the most part, Swalot are much more intelligent than Gulpin and are actually fairly benign and peaceful creatures, never doing harm to others unless they absolutely plan on eating them. So at the very least, they can be trained and safely worked with as long as one tends to not stick close to their mouth region. Their internal forms might not be well understood due to a lack of ability to study their insides without having instruments completely melt in their interiors, but Swalot are decently powerful creatures that can definitely take a hit in a fight and keep right on going, slowly using their acids and poison to whittle away at the opposition until nothing is left of them. They may be among the most abnormal of life forms known on the planet, but the members of the Gulpin family are nonetheless fascinating creatures that can definitely bring some corrosive power to a battle if given the chance. Training them might require a lot of careful action on the part of the trainer, but their imposing size can nonetheless make them terrifying creatures whose visage will likely horrify any and all that look at it when their mouth is agape. If you are really set on training one of these monsters though, do yourself a favor and make sure that they are well fed before each and every battle. Swalot might be intelligent enough to take the well-being of the opposition into question with enough training, but send these beasts out on an empty stomach, and you may likely end up having to go to court to rectify the issue of them likely eating the opposition rather than just defeating them. Thank you all for watching this video. It is always an honor to be able to speak with you all on the subject of Pokemon in a way that brings me great joy and happiness in my work. If you would like to keep tabs on past and future work, click that subscribe button, check out my work on DeviantArt, and don't be shy about following me on Twitter, where you can find pertinent announcements on upcoming work before it is officially posted. Links to both can be found in the video description. If you would like to support my work and help Miguel and I continue to produce more content for you and improve upon our presentation, please visit us at my Patreon page, which you can also find a link to in the video description. With that, I thank you for watching and I wish you well.